going to be creating a off the top, okay, using this measurements below. I have bust 32, waist 28, bust length 13, half length is 17. All right, starting with, I'm going to make a marking for 1 inch, and that will be for the center front. Okay, pattern is on fold, double fold. Okay, and I'm going to put, already did center front here, and next I'm going to measure the center front for 1 inch and place a marking right at the tip right here. Okay, so I'm going to draw the line, create a line for the center front piece. Okay, as you can see, put a line right there. This is, I think this pen is bad. There we go. Uh-oh. All right. Again, I'm going to take 1 inch at the tippy top. Place 1 inch, put a marking at the top. Okay, then you want to draw a line at the tip of the paper, whatever paper you're using. Okay, so first I'm going to go to the shoulder top. Okay, so I'm going to measure from the shoulder line, up top. Okay, starting from the shoulder line, we're going to put 1 inch right here. And what you want to do, you can use your ruler and you create a line up at the shoulder line, going straight. Okay. Create a long straight line at the shoulder line so you know where your shoulder line is. Okay, so next up, I'm going to measure from the shoulder line to my bust line, which is going to be 13 inches. Okay, this is 13 inches. I'm going to place a marking right here. Again, I'm going to take my ruler. First, let me do this. This is 13 inches. I'm going to take my ruler and then I'm going to measure a straight line across the paper pattern. Okay, across the paper lines. Okay. So next up, I'm going to measure the waistline from the bust line, which is going to be 4 inches. I actually already created a line right here. So that's 4 inches, and the 1 inch is for the sewing allowance, and I'm only creating a half length top. All right, so next step, I'm going to go from the center front. I'm going to measure 8 inches because the measurement that I'm using is 32 inches across. And if you divide 32 into 4 inches, that will give us 8. Okay, so at 8 inches, I'm going to place a mark right there. And then sewing allowance is already here, which is 2 inches out. Okay, so at 2 inches, I already have my markings right there. The waist that I'm working with is 28 inches, and 28 inches divided by 2, we already know that's 14, and 14 divided by 2, again, that is 7. So I'm going to go back to the center front and then find number 7. Put a mark at 7. 2 inches added will be 9. Okay, so that's for the sewing allowance. I'm going to label it as SA. And here, I'm going to label SA right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is connect this line and this line together because that's the actual measurements. Okay, I'm just going to trace it to connect to the bust measurements, waist measurements. Okay, so next up, I'm going to go back to the top, the shoulder line, and then I'm going to find 7.5 inches. That's what I'm working with. Okay, that's the shoulder line. I mean, that's the underarm line is 7 inches. And for what I have here, that is 7 inches. I'm going to cross it, make a marking right there for a line. Okay. And what you can do is you can use a ruler and then take your line and measure it and draw a line to the centerpiece. Center front. Okay. So next up, I'm going to measure. The bust measurement for the shoulder measurement. Okay. So I'm going to measure for 8 inches, which is what I have here. I'm going to put a line for 8 inches at the top. Okay, you see the 8 inches line. And I'm going to also draw 8 inches from the center front to on the armhole line. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this dot and this dot is connect it together. Okay, again, you can use your ruler. And if you currently don't have a ruler, you can use a tape measure. But the best thing to do is to use a ruler. Okay, so now going back to shoulder line to the armhole. This is the armhole. Okay, right? I'm going to find the middle line between this space right here, which is 7 inches. That would be 3.5. So what I'm going to do here is measure down. I have 7 inches, and I'm going to find a middle point, which is 3.5 right here. Perfect. So next up, okay, all right, from the center front again, I'm going to find my the nipple point, which is 3.5, and put a dot right here for 3.5. I'm also going to go to the top and put 3.5 at the shoulder line. Okay, and I'm going to go to the waistline again and put 3.5. all right. What I'm trying to create here is to know that this is the middle point. This is the nipple point of the dress. So when I'm crafting out the darts, I know exactly what and where I need to draft out. Okay. Again, the best thing you can use is to use a ruler. That way it's easy to draw your lines. Okay. So I have the line in the middle. So next up, what I'm going to be doing here is to find the darts. Okay. So first I'm going to go back in the bust area. I'm going to divide it by 3. I'm going to put a marking right there for 3 inches. Now from the 3 inches down, I'm going to go to the under bust line, which is right here. And then I'm going to go 2 inches out. Okay. And, or you can even, you know what, I'm going to do 1.5. I'm going to go 1.5 out and then come to the other side. And I'm going to do 1 inch. Okay. Again, for the waistline, I'm creating 1.5 to the right and 1 inch to the left. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here is to draw lines connecting the lines, both lines that I've created on the waist and the bust line. I'm going to connect it together like so. Now I'm going to go back to the middle of the bust line. Okay, remember this dot that I put here? This is the bust area. So I'm going to connect to create a little bit. This is 1 inch, and what I'm trying to do here is to go inner, to go closer, as close as possible to this line. Okay, so I'm trying to close the gap. Okay, and if you want, you can do 0.5 here, 0.5, but I'm trying to close the gap here. So what I'm going to do is just draw my line to carve out, to connect, creating a circular shape at this corner. Okay, again, I'm going to do the same thing, connecting, creating a circular shape from here to the bust line right here. Okay. All right, so next I'm going to, remember we have the sewing allowance here. So because I've already taken out about 2 inches around at this area, you want to make sure that you had the extra 2 inches in addition to what we've already created here for your sewing allowance. So you have more fabric to work with. So in total, you want, I believe it's 2.5 inches out from the waistline and from the underbust. Remember to add it to your fabric or pattern. Okay, now going back to the, all right, next up I'm drawing this area for the off the shoulder. So to find the off the shoulder, this is already 3.5 that I've measured, which is the middle of the armhole area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the number line. I want to connect it to the nipple point line right here, the middle part of the pattern. I'm trying to connecting the line from here to here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just to create little dots connecting to the nipple points lines. Okay, all right, you see the little dots connecting like a little curve. All right, so that's what I'm going to be doing right there. I'm going to create a little connection right there, connecting to the armhole line. Okay, so that's already out of the way. So next up, right now, I just created this curvy line. What I'm going to create here is to create a circular shape for the armhole area. Okay, by connecting this line, but not in a straight line, but more of a curvy shape. And what you can do to get an accurate measure of this, you can measure 1 inch from this point right here to wherever you want, but just 1 inch from here to here. And then you can also do 1 inch from here to here, and then use that to curve out your shape. And then if you would like to get your point here, what you can do is measure 0.5 and then use that to connect, and then you curve out the shape for your armhole. You use that to connect the shape for your armhole for the circular shape right here. Okay, all right. Okay, so next up, I'm going to go to the center front right here. This is already 6 inches down. So depending on the type of curve you want for the center front, if you want a deep curve, if you want a higher curve, or however you want it, that's what you're going to use to measure. But in this case, it's just going to be a simple curved line, which is about 0.5 down. So I'm going to connect that to this line, and then what I want to do is to connect this C curve. I need it to connect it to this armhole corner right here. The points that we have here, the line that we have here, I'm going to connect it. I mean, I'm making it a curvy shape, a curvy line right at the top right there. To make it easy for you, you can also measure down 4 inches from the shoulder line. Whatever you get from here to here for 4 inches, that will be your connection point. Again, for the front line, depending on how deep you want your curvy part to be here, it could be lower, like 4 inches, 3 inches, but for this one I'm using 0.5. That way it's not a deep curve. Okay, next up, this line should be a straight line. All right, and then that's how you cut out your off the shoulder line for the half length top. All right, next up, to get the strap for the off shoulder, so I just measure I'm using 1 inch for the for the strap only. Okay, keep in mind this is going to be curved out, so I'm going to draw 1 inch here, 1 inch there. So you want to use 1 inch top, 1 inch down. That will be your 1 inch lines. Okay, then that will be for your strap. Remember, again, this is on fold, so that will be 1 inch. For this one, it is 3 inches out, so it will be 1 inch here, 1 inch there, fabric cut out, and this will be 3 inches across, and across the shoulder will be 6 inches, as this is on, as this pattern paper is on fold, to get 6 inches out for the strap. Okay, all right, don't forget, if you have any questions, definitely put it in the comment section, and I will be glad to answer all of your questions. Again, this is the sewing allowance. Okay, like that. Now for the strap, you can either make it 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, depending on the measurements that you're working with. But for this particular measurement, I'm using 1.5. I mean, sorry, not 1.5, 1 inch for the strap that goes across the arm area. Okay, and this is 3 inches. Now, because of the sewing allowance, don't forget to add in sewing allowance of 0.5. So for the strap, the total should be 7 inches, including the sewing allowance. Okay, again, this is for the measurements that I'm working with. So for yours, regardless of how big the strap or how long the strap is, if you're working with 8 inches, make sure you either had 1 additional inch so you have room for movement, and then you have extra room for the sewing allowance. Okay, now this is the O. All right, again, remember, you can make this deeper if you choose to. Also, if you plan on having like an illusion right here, you can also do so by creating space for the illusion. But for the most part, this is it for a half length off shoulder top. Okay, and this can be added to either skirt or a pants, or you can even have it just by itself. You can make a full dress with this pattern. You know, this is a half top, and then you just create your skirt or your pant, and then you add it to it. Now, if you want this area to be higher, you can also make it higher, and by so doing, you can also make your strap also wider. So for instance, if this is going higher, I believe this will be maybe, it'll be 5 inches or 4.5 inches. Okay, so you get up higher if you choose to do so. Okay, and in this case, that means your strap will be 2 inches, or even it can be smaller. So it's all about your preference. Remember, the higher you go, the more coverage you have for your chest area. So by going higher here, then we're going to be having, for my measurement, that will be 2 inches wide. Okay, and in this case, that means your strap will be 2 inches, or even it can be smaller. So it's all about your preference. Remember, the higher you go, the more coverage you have for your chest area. So by going higher here, then we're going to be having, for my measurement, that will be 2 inches wide. And so it depends on how your design is and how what you're working with, what design or what style you're working with. That's going to determine how the shape or the cut goes. So next I'm going to cut out my pattern and see what I have. All right, as you can see, I just cut out the pattern. All right, this is what I have. Okay. All right, don't forget you have whatever you do to your main fabric, you also have to do to your lining as well. So when I open this up, this is what I have. Okay. All right, so your fabric should look like that. Once you finish, it should look like that. Okay. All right, and this is the strap. Okay, so it should be 3 inches, no, 3.5 on this side and 3.5 on the other side when you flip it open. But for the most part, this is it. And to transfer it on the fabric and the lining. Okay. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Now this is the pattern for the front part, and see, your fabric should look like this. So when you do connect it together, it will be, your connection will be just like this. And then when you do the waist, the bust line should create that nice little breast cup area where you can put in your breast pads. Okay, now this is the strap, and it should be on fold. Your fabric should be on fold in order for you to get the right amount that you need to go around your arm area. And like I said, this is the front, and then I will create another video for the back. Now don't forget to always name your project and to label it, just so if you're planning on keeping your pattern. Now this project is off shoulder, half length top. Okay, and I also put the size 6. And if you can see here, I have my measurements right here for me to always refer to if I need to ever use it again. And then I'm going to label this as side left, and then this is side right. And you can also use A or B, that way you know exactly what you are working with. So I'm going to put side A, and on this one I'm going to label as side B, and then that's it. If you want, you can put a date on it, but this is something easy and readily available for you to use at any point in time. Also, I'm going to put strap, and then how many inches. I already have it here, which is 6 inches. And then as a matter of fact, I'm going to put it for 7 inches, including plus SA. That way I know already I have enough measurement added for sewing allowance. Okay.